Hey everyone, welcome to Constructed Chaos. Wizards of the Coast has a lot of new content coming out over the next few months, and they just kicked things off with Beyond the Witchlight, the D&D 5e Feywild adventure. And with it comes 2 new playable races for us to use. So let's jump in and spread our wings with the Harengon and Fairy races. As we look into our 2 new race options, we should note that they both follow the new overarching rule that allows us to assign our racial stat bonuses however we please. We can either assign a +2 to one bonus and a +1 to another, or 3 +1s across 3 separate stats. Additionally, both options give us a choice of language outside of Common that we can speak, read, and write. We'll get some suggestions from the writers here in a moment. Both races also offer a similar lifespan to humans, about a century. However, I feel like it's a missed opportunity. In particular, the fairies I could see either being more long-lived or short-lived than humans. But feel free to homebrew that if you'd like. And on that note, it's only fitting that we start with the fairy race, which we can see typically speaks either Elvish, Sylvan, or Goblin, in addition to Common, which they've picked up from visiting the material plane so many times. The book states that fairies come in a variety of different looks, and they even include a random table for you to roll on if you're having trouble deciding on what sort of characteristics you want your fairy to have. But in specific, they are small creatures that look similar to elves and have insectile wings. You can do a lot with this, even make a fairy into a beetle. I think having a barbarian beetle fairy give somebody the biggest beetle down of their lives would be really fun. You could even become a bee fairy and sting somebody. Of course, then you might die. Now, one of the most notable but often overlooked features of a creature like the fairy is that they're classified as a fey creature and not a humanoid. So spells like Charm Person and Hold Person, which specifically target humanoids, won't affect you at all. Of course, fairies can also use their wings to fly, and they can do so with the same 30-foot walking speed that they already have. That said, if that walking speed increases, so too does your flying speed. The only real catch here is that you can't fly if you're wearing medium or heavy armor, which is pretty standard across the board when it comes to flying playable races. Lastly, you'll gain access to fairy magic as early as 1st level when you learn the Druidcraft cantrip. This will basically allow you to do a lot of little fairy things like making flowers bloom or adding sparkles to the air around you, but you'll also gain access to fairy fire at 3rd level and enlarge reduce at 5th level. You'll have the ability to cast either of these leveled spells without using a spell slot once per long rest. And given the flexibility of Enlarge Reduce, I'd say that's pretty generous for 5th level. Notably, you can use that to shrink yourself down to tiny size and squeeze through some pretty cramped spaces. Or you can use it on an ally, turn them large for all sorts of big boy shenanigans. Moving on from fairies, we can now properly assess the fact that we can play rabbit people in D&D 5e. Harengon can either be medium or small humanoids that use their keen senses and a little luck for some pretty interesting racial abilities, including proficiency in the perception skill. They also get the hair trigger ability, which allows them to add their proficiency bonus to their initiative rolls, which makes them pretty good at getting the jump on their opponents. I promise that's the last bunny pun I will make in this video. Their Fey luck then comes into play with the ability Lucky Footwork, which allows them to add a roll of a d4 to any failed dexterity saving throw, so long as your speed isn't 0 and you're not prone. Though this ability isn't quite as nice as getting proficiency or advantage with that saving throw, it will stack with those 2 boons later on if we get them from other things. Last, our Harengon gets access to Rabbit Hop, which allows them to jump a number of feet equal to 5 times their proficiency bonus as a bonus action without incurring opportunity attacks, so long as their speed isn't 0. While you can only use this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest, it's still basically a free Misty Step for us, and it turns the Harengon into a natural-born bait-and-punish attacker. Just imagine speedily running 20 feet into combat, attacking, and then just bouncing. I'm so sorry. I love this ability because it not only provides an interesting combat tool, but it also gives us some insight as to how a Harengon might act outside of combat as an NPC or even a PC if you're ready to hop onto that bandwagon. Please get help. I can't stop. Now, if you're completely sold on these new races and ready to play them, one of your next steps is going to be to choose a background. And why not choose one from the very same book? Thank you all for watching. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons before leaping on to your next bit of content, and until next time, go out there and make some chaos.